Welcome back to the James McGee Show. I am your host. I am James McGee. So we have two incidents in liberal cities that we're going to talk about today. See, the real scandal isn't police shootings. The real scandal isn't shootings at all. The real scandal is the system that's causing these crimes. Liberal ran cities. Liberal ran cities is the absolute biggest problem in America. There is no bigger problem in America than liberal ran cities. Look at sanctuary cities. Liberal ran cities again. Everything that is causing major chaos in our country is a result of liberal ran city. So we're going to talk about incidents. We're going to talk about Madison, Wisconsin, and we're going to talk about Seattle. Okay, so this is this is just a complete travesty of what is going on in our country. It is, like I said, is the absolute biggest problem that we have in our country. It's an absolute travesty, and it's what is the absolute biggest problem in America. So sorry, I'm shuffling my notes around. So let's start with the facts in Madison. Police officers responded to reports of a man attempting to enter vehicles and possibly involved in unlawful entry of a residence. Officers located the suspect, who fled on a bicycle before a physical struggle ensued. Police say one officer deployed a taser, but it was ineffective. During the struggle, the suspect allegedly produced a knife and cut one of the officers. The injured officer then fired shots that killed the suspect. The Wisconsin Department of Justice conducted the investigation, which is standard in any police shooting. New cell phone video captures portions of the struggle and the shooting, but it does not clearly show whether or when the officer was cut. The officer was cut. The officer was stabbed. The same officer that shot the suspect had been stabbed by the suspect. They do not currently wear body cameras. We're going to cover that. This is where you get into these liberal ran cities. They don't even have body cameras. A major city in this day and age does not have body cameras to protect their officers and protect their citizens. Because we all know that the majority of the time when there is body camera footage, it clears the officers. So body cameras have been proven to protect officers way more than it has been to condemn them or convict them. So here's, I just went over the facts, but here's the biggest scandal in Madison isn't a police officer fired. The biggest scandal is a violent offender was back on the street to begin with. This is the problem with these liberal ran cities, with these judges. We quickly, all we do, we want to jump to the policeman. We want to jump to, right? We want to jump to the end of this incident where a policeman was justified. In my eyes, the policeman was justified. So we want to jump to the end, but how did we get here? That's what we don't want to talk about. We don't want to talk about how we got here. Politicians, activists, and immediately, in media, immediately shifted the spotlight to the police officer. Why? Because that's what it has become the script in America. That is, that's what they're going to focus on. But the focus is a career criminal committed crime after crime. The system kept giving him another chance. This man had been arrested about 40 times, 40 convictions. So why was he even still on the street? So eventually, an officer. So he was homeless. They don't know what to do. You know, all these politicians, all these really smart people who's supposed to be running our country, they don't know what to do with the homeless. They don't know how to solve the homeless. They don't know how to solve the mental health issues. They don't know how to solve the drug addiction issues. So what do we do? Give it to the cops. So when everybody failed, when every other entity fails, what do? We give it to the cops. Not only do we give it to the cops, we criticize and constantly condemn and convict on how they handle it. According to public court documents, the suspect had a lengthy criminal history that goes back for years. He had been arrested multiple times for drug-related incidents, drug-related crimes, and violent crimes. He had been reportedly had just been released from prison. How is a man with 40 convictions, even on the streets, how was he even released? Why isn't that man doing life in prison? I can tell you why, because we have liberal judges. We have liberal prosecutors. We have liberal mayors, like in Madison and like in Seattle that we're going to talk about today too. Where's the outrage over why violent people are back on the streets like this? Where's the outrage to that? But the outrage quickly goes to the policeman. And the policeman, the last resort. You know, the policeman are the last line of defense, right? There's so many other things that got through that caused this, that the system failed in so many ways. But we're going to blame the policeman. Second officer is forced to defend himself after being stabbed. Everyone suddenly finds their voice. Well, where's the voice when this man had been released? Where's the voice when this criminal had been put back on the streets? So let's look at this. Let's look at this video from Madison. Hold on, I'm having some technical problems. Let me let's look at this. I'm having all kinds of technical problems this morning. Let's look at let's see. All right, let's try this again.
Confrontation between Madison, Wisconsin police and Corey Ruiz. Captured on camera in Madison, Wisconsin. A police officer fatally shooting the 38-year-old who investigators say was armed with a knife.
This is an open and active homicide investigation right now.
The scene sparking outrage, even at a press conference with city leaders late today. Multiple videos capturing the incident from different angles. The scuffle appearing to begin here when police say Ruiz falls or is taken off his bike by an officer. Authorities were responding to a report of an individual checking car doors Wednesday afternoon, they say, when the man initially fled. Watch as police appear to struggle with him. Ruiz pulled out a knife and injured one officer. Authorities say a taser was deployed, but it was not successful. Then 3 shots are heard.
The officer who sustained injuries from the knife what was the same officer that fired the shots.
Public records show Ruiz had at least 40 criminal convictions, including several for resisting or obstructing law enforcement.
You should not lose your life as a result of an encounter with law enforcement.
The shooting leading to a night of demonstrations. Protesters here interrupting an outdoor concert at the state capitol. Jasmine Brown says she knew Ruiz personally.
You've known him for 20 years. What was lost?
So it doesn't take much. Watching this video, it doesn't take much to realize and to figure out what the problem in Madison, Wisconsin is. You know what the problem in Madison, Wisconsin is? It's the same problem throughout American cities. Liberal, Democrat-run city. What a fucking clown show. Let's talk about this butt-fuck chief of police first. He didn't stand up for his officers one bit. He looked like a pussy. What a fucking pussy. He let an activist. First off, they shouldn't have been allowed in the press conference. The public shouldn't. It's a press. Do you not understand what a fucking press conference means? It means we're having a conference with the press. We're notifying the press. So you have this Mamaluke activist that shows up, physically takes the mic from the police chief. And we wonder why we have problems in cities like Madison, Wisconsin, when you have this complete pussy as a police chief. The man physically took over the press conference. He grabbed the mic. I can't even fathom this. He shouldn't have been allowed in, but then he grabbed the mic. If you watch it, the whole thing, the chief's sitting in the back like the little pussy that he is, and let this man conduct a press conference. Then you see the mayor. Nobody should die in police interaction or at the hands of police. No fucking shit. She said nothing to support her policeman. She said nothing to talk about the injuries. You have a police officer that was stabbed, and she's worried about a criminal because of liberal policies like yours, worried about a criminal that was shot and killed by the police. He stabbed a policeman. He resisted arrest. He committed another crime. He had 40 convictions. He committed another crime. And then he was he stabbed a policeman. I don't even understand this. But it's because of liberal policies. It's because of liberal leadership. There is no leadership in cities like this. It doesn't take a fucking genius to figure out what is going on in these cities. This is a complete just travesty. How is this even? How can anybody vote for this type of leadership, this type of government? They don't govern. They have no clue what they're doing. So let's look at this Mamaluke. Here, I guess he wants to be Ben Crumb Jr. Look what Ben Crumb Jr. has to say.
Movements. Did he threaten someone? Did he threaten the officers? The answer is, I think, overwhelmingly no. I think that's what the evidence supports. Perhaps the taser was reasonable. You know, she said taser. They used it. They didn't even wait 5 seconds to see the effect that the taser had on Corey. Not 5 seconds. You got 4 officers. You've already tased the guy. 2 people at least tased them. We have to wait on reports to confirm if there were more than 2 tasers. But they never even waited to see the effect of it. Instead, they resorted to deadly force. You know, we believe have seen conduct that shocks the conscience. But I think there's another aspect of this case that needs to be revisited. And that is why the Madison Police Department does not have body cam.
So surprisingly, I'm going to agree with him on one thing. Madison Police Department should have body cameras, but what a fucking clown. How did this man get a fucking law degree? Just because he is an attorney, let me just tell you, just because he's an attorney doesn't make him any sort of use of force expert. This guy's a fucking butt fuck. Okay. Did you see what I saw? This man admitted that force wasn't necessary. He doesn't get to choose that it was a taser. It's a deadly force incident. We had a deadly threat with a knife, but he said taser was reasonable. So that means force was reasonable. In the presence of a knife, deadly force was absolutely reasonable. How did you not? Did somebody forget to tell you that an officer was stabbed? An officer was stabbed. So how is that? You don't have to sit there. You don't have to be killed. They did not have to wait till one of them was killed. The threat was real. It was imminent. This man who had been convicted of 40 fucking crimes in the state of Wisconsin was trying to kill a policeman. And he's dead, but Ben Crump Jr., he has no clue what he's doing. He just admitted. To me, he gave more of a justification for the use of force than he did anything else. Taser was reasonable. Taser, I'm not going to criticize the officers for using a taser. I'm not going to criticize that. But what I'm gonna say is they had no obligation for a taser. Once that knife came into play, and especially after he stabbed an officer, you had no obligation for a taser. That's immediate deadly force. I don't care what this fucking Ben Crump Jr. attorney says. He has no clue what the fuck he's talking about. But what he did say was force was necessary. I don't know if it's his client or not. But see, that's not the only city. Look at what happened has happened in Seattle. Had a mass shooting, okay? We have a mass shooting in Seattle. You have a 15-year-old that they took it into custody. It looks like it was a gang fight. It was a gunfight in the middle of a festival. Okay, what do we have in Seattle? A 30-something-year-old Democratic socialist who was living in her parents' basement. Seriously, this is not a joke. Was living in her parents' basement before she was elected, being supported by her parents. She didn't even have a job. How the fuck? This is what happens when fucking liberals. Listen, Seattle, what the fuck's wrong with you? This is what happens when you elect these fucking clowns, these democratic socialists, whatever the fuck that even means. And you know what they do? They appoint fucking clowns like this as police chiefs. Let's look at this fucking idiot.
Town yesterday. I wish that I had a crystal ball and we could stop gun violence, but we can't. Yesterday, I was in Dallas at the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives Conference. It's their 50th anniversary. At that conference, 2 members from our community were being honored. One of our pastors was given an award for his work in the community, and one of our officers, one of our CSOs, was given an award, and I wanted to be there for that. That's why I was not.
Do they get any more of a clown than this? This man... The reason why they're being criticized is because they didn't notify the public for 5 hours. There was no public alarm. For 5 hours, the suspect was still at large. They didn't notify the public for 5 hours. And he was questioned. Apparently, I saw some other interviews. He's out of town a lot. Did y'all hear what I heard? This man actually said, I wish I could schedule gun violence for when I would be here. He has no interest in stopping gun violence. He has no interest in mitigating gun violence. He just wants to schedule it. He wants to put it around his schedule so he's here when it happens. He's being sarcastic. What a fucking clown. This is what happens when you elect liberal mayors. They put complete butt fucks like this chief in charge. That this is what more incidents when you have in Seattle. Seattle is the center of the defund the police. Let's put social workers. Well, social workers, y'all did a good job in this one. So the social workers did a good job, but you know what they're going to do is they're going to start yelling gun control. Well, and then we need gun laws. Well, I'm going to just tell you, it's a tragedy what happened to Seattle, but there's no gun laws that's going to stop that. The guns were in the hands of 15-year-olds. That's illegal. We have laws that prevent these things. You know what? Newsflash, motherfuckers. Criminals do not obey the law. You can pass all the fucking gun laws that you want. You know it's gonna affect people like me and you who follow the law. Criminals do not follow the law. Is that some kind of revelation? Would we not see that? It was an illegally obtained and illegally possessed weapon. But that's what liberals like this clown police and this clown mayor who absolutely is not qualified. That's why this happened. That's why this kind of stuff happens in America. That's all I got for you today. Look, tonight, Jason, Candace, and I going to be live 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Look, we're going to cover Fauci. Fauci is testifying. It's going to be a fucking God. It's going to be some fireworks today. And then we're also going to cover the lady that was just convicted in Minnesota for using the N-word. Whether you agree with our usage of the N-word or not, free speech is dead. We have an official conviction of a person who's convicted for using a word. First Amendment is dead, guys. See you tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us, me, Candace, and Jason for Two Dicks and a Chick. Until then, remember, no one's coming to save you, and the world does not give a fuck. McGee is out.